FBI lawyer under criminal investigation for altering FISA document. That is the topic of today's op-ed live. So I have told you all along that the deep state, the Democrats, I'm not talking about all Democrats, but many Democrats, and the deep state and the mainstream media, they are scared of one thing right now. They're scared of December 9th. And December 9th, Michael Horowitz, Inspector General Michael Horowitz, is going to release his Inspector General report. It's pretty much, in a nutshell, it's pretty much about Obama administration spying on Trump. Why did they do it? Okay, a presidential candidate. Probably they were scared that Trump might become president because they saw his rallies, his popularity. By the way, I believe Donald Trump is a very popular president. I don't go with the mainstream narrative that his poll number is 43, 42. No, I don't think so. I believe the Rasmussen poll, which is more of a better reflection of the entire nation. And he's rating at 50% right now. So Fox News came out with this bombshell news. Horowitz reportedly finds FBI lawyer falsified the FISA document. And Washington Post deleted Peter Strzok connection in their paper. CNN also deleted it. So Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz has found evidence that an FBI lawyer manipulated a key investigative document related to the FBI's secretive surveillance of a former Trump campaign advisor. Who is that advisor? His name was Carter Page. I met with him, by the way, and did a pretty lengthy interview with him too. And enough to change the substantive meaning of the document, according to multiple reports. Okay? The show-stopping development comes as Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. What did he say? He said that the Horowitz Comprehensive Report, the IG report of allegations of Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that is FISA warrant abuse against former Trump campaign aide Carter Page, will be released on December 9th. And do you know what Lindsey Graham said about that date? That it is locked, okay? So it will come out. There is no more postponing. There is no playing around with this thing. And the deep state, they're running scared. They don't know what to do. I don't know how the mainstream media is going to cover this news. Okay? They're going to somehow spin it. That's how I believe it. Because they carry water. They have been carrying water for the Obama administration for 8 years. So why not now? They've been in that team. I don't think they're going to flip over to Trump. But I do think they cannot ignore the facts that will come out in the IG report. Okay, so the new evidence concerning the altered document, which pertained to the FBI's FISA court warrant application to surveil Page, is expected to be outlined in the upcoming IG report. And do you know who came out with this news? The FBI lawyer under criminal investigation for altering FISA doc? Surprisingly, it was CNN. I don't know. I think I have to give them credit. CNN first reported the news, and then Washington Post, out of all the papers out there, out of all the deep state papers out there, the Washington Post largely confirmed CNN's report that it is correct. But the Post, hours after publishing its story, conspicuously removed the portion of its reporting that the FBI employee involved worked under Peter Strzok. Who's Peter Strzok? The FBI lead investigator of the Hillary Clinton email scandal and also the FBI's investigation of Trump campaign Russia collusion conspiracy theory. Okay? And by the way, he was also the lead investigator in the Robert Mueller team, special counsel team, but he got kicked out, right? Because of the text messages about what was the text messages about? That Barack Obama wanted to know everything about the wiretapping of the Trump campaign, right? Even though the mainstream media didn't want to run that story, I'm telling you right now, that is the truth. POTUS wanted to know everything, and they wanted to have a secret society meeting. Probably that's why people want to block this, because they're talking, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page is talking about secret society. We don't know who the members are. I don't know who they are, but seems like they're there, okay? That's why he mentioned it. Probably Peter Strzok knows who they are. So the Post did not offer an explanation for the change, which occurred shortly after midnight. Earlier this week, the DOJ highlighted a slew of anti-Trump text messages sent by Peter Strzok when he was leading the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the probe into the Trump campaign. The person under scrutiny has been identified but is not a high-ranking official. We're talking about the guy who forged this document. They worked beneath former Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok, according to people familiar with the investigation, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss material that has not yet been made public. So I don't know. I think Washington Post has to come out with an explanation why they revised and omitted that part. The paper, Washington Post, eventually added a correction to the bottom of its piece. I'm reading this because it's very important. You got to know how the Washington Post and CNN thinks. They're with the deep state. The paper eventually added a correction to the bottom of its piece, reading, "Correction. An earlier version of this story erroneously stated that the FBI employee being investigated for altering a document worked underneath former Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok. The employee was a low-level lawyer in the Office of General Counsel." To me, it doesn't sound like a low-level lawyer, but somehow probably Washington Post felt the need to cover it up for him. Okay? Because Washington Post didn't want to cover this whole thing, the FISA thing, the IG report, whatever. Well, Michael Horowitz, they don't even want to mention his name that much. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, all the text messages, they don't want to mention secret society. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to recover the WikiLeaks story. They do not want to do that, right? WikiLeaks, whether it's talking about all kinds of codes, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to report it. They want to pretend that it doesn't exist in the world and it's all conspiracy theory. Hey, if it's based on facts and evidence, you can't say that it is a conspiracy theory. But I do think that it is working for them. I mean, the people who get their daily doses, who get their daily dosage of mainstream deep state media, legacy media information, I think probably it works for them. But I do think the IG report, I think December 9th will be the date that will change many Americans. I'm talking about even the people who believe the deep states. The regular American folks who believed in New York Times, Washington Post, and CNN. I think a chunk of them will turn against these corrupt media. Okay. So the employee, this guy who forged this document, has been since forced out of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay. In its initial 2016 FISA warrant application, the FBI flatly called Page an agent of a foreign power. Really? You can't do that, Larry. Carter Page, he used to work for the FBI. So you're telling me that a guy who used to work for the FBI is now a Russian agent, a foreign agent? Then why did you hire him in the first place? Okay, why did you hire Dr. Carter Page? And then right now, there's another report coming out that the deep state and the mainstream media do not like. Who? U.S. Attorney John Durham, who I believe is a very righteous and justice person. It seems like the mainstream media and the deep state people, they don't like righteous and justice people. Okay. So John Durham's separate ongoing probe into potential FBI and Justice Department misconduct in the run-up to the 2016 election through the spring of 2017 has transitioned into a full-fledged, do you hear this? A full-fledged criminal investigation. It's not just an administrative review. It's not an admin review anymore. It's a full-fledged criminal investigation, which, by the way, the mainstream media will not put out there. And I believe it's a shame that, even our paper is not putting it out there. There's so many people who work in the editing department who just don't know what they're talking about. They don't know they don't know the politics, how American politics work. I believe they should not even write about it then. I really do. If you're just going to copy paste what the mainstream media and just translate what they're going to say, they should get out of here. I don't think they should be journalists. So Durham has reportedly taken up Horowitz's findings concerning the falsified FISA document, meaning the ex-FBI lawyer who made the changes is now under criminal investigation. The Post indicated, however, that the document was not central to the legality of the FISA warrant obtained against Page. I don't believe this. I don't believe what the Washington Post just said. It was the central piece. Without the Steele dossier and without the Steele dossier, they could not have spied the Trump campaign, okay? And I think that document that this guy forged was very, important. Republicans have long argued that the FBI's alleged FISA abuses, which came as the Bureau aggressively pursued ultimately unsubstantiated claims of criminal links between the Trump team and Russia. Did you hear that? Ultimately unsubstantiated claims of criminal links between the Trump team and Russia, which the New York Times and Washington Post would never put in their articles, even though they talked about this hoax for 3-4 straight years, right? So Republicans have long argued that the FBI's alleged FISA abuses, which came as the Bureau aggressively pursued ultimately unsubstantiated claims of criminal links between the Trump team and Russia during the 2016 presidential campaign cycle, were politically motivated. Okay? I do believe it was politically motivated. I do believe Barack Obama knew every single thing about it. I do believe Hillary Clinton knew every single thing about it. I think probably it was a normal practice to the establishment politicians. I do not know about that, but they definitely did not like an outsider like Donald Trump. And that's why they did this. I don't think they even just did it to Trump. There has been reports that they did it to who? Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz should be outrageous about this whole thing. He should be outraged about this. So just 9 days before the FBI applied for its first FISA warrant to surveil Page, Bureau officials were battling with a senior Justice Department official who had continued concerns about the political bias of a source pivotal to the application. Who's this guy? Christopher Steele, the former MI6 Great Britain guy. Okay? The 2016 messages sent between Lisa Page and then FBI Deputy Director Andy McCabe, who's also a deep state member, also revealed that Bureau brass circulated at least 2 anti-Trump blog articles. Fox News is also reporting that the texts were connected to the ultimately successful Page application. They succeeded. First, the FISA court, the FISC, did not approve a warrant, a wiretap warrant. But after the Christopher Steele dossier, you know about the whole Trump PP thing, after they got that information, somehow, this is very important, we got a wiretap. They came to that conclusion. That's what happened here. Okay. So if they can spy on a presidential candidate campaign, presidential candidate campaign, then they could spy anybody, right? And I think that's what's been happening, you know. And watch the movie about Eric Snowden. And Snowden, if you watch the movie Snowden, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, and cited Page's suspected Russia ties. Oh my goodness. Russia ties. I know the Clinton campaign had Russia ties. I know that Barack Obama tried to appease Russia. I do know that. I do not know anything about, so far I do not see anything that can connect Trump and Russia or Putin. Much of the Steele dossier has been proved discredited or unsubstantiated. By who? By Christopher Steele himself. He couldn't verify it. And by who else? James Comey, the former FBI director James Comey, even said in front of Congress, under oath, he said he couldn't verify whether it's real or not. It's fabricated. If you look at the story and all the chunk of garbage that Christopher Steele put out there, it's nothing but garbage, fabricated garbage. Okay. And despite being accused by the FBI of being a Russian agent in the FISA application and being secretly surveilled for more than a year, can you believe that? Can you see yourself being surveilled for more than a year, even though you're not an agent for a foreign country? Carter Page has not been charged with any wrongdoing. And he sued the DNC and also a bunch of media groups because they're all complicit. And to me, it looks like a collusion between the Democratic Party, FBI, and the mainstream media. That's how I see it. And that's how you should see it too, if you know the whole situation, if you see the big picture. Page is not the only Trump official to allege misconduct by the FBI. Last month, an explosive court filing from Michael Flynn's, former national security advisor, Michael Flynn's legal team, and they alleged that FBI agents manipulated official records. So it seems like it's a common practice. They just manipulate papers, forge documents, right? FBI agents manipulated official records of the former National Security Advisor's 2017 interview that led to him being charged with lying to the investigators. Flynn's attorneys demanded the FBI search its internal Sentinel system to find more evidence of allegedly doctored files. So look at all the corruption that has been happening, right? I think FBI and CIA, they need to really clean up their act. Look at all this pile of garbage that they've been doing. And look at the mainstream media trying to cover it up for him. That's why I call them deep state media. The newly released text messages involving Peter Strzok and his former lover, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, revealed that Page, who was not present for the Flynn interview, had apparently made edits to the so-called 302 witness report in the case, which was key to Flynn's prosecution on a false statements charge. And Lisa Page told Peter Strzok on February 10th of 2017 this: "She gave my edits to Bill to put on your desk." And so it's all up to him. Michael Horowitz is going to find all the shenanigans that they have been doing, probably even under Obama administration. I don't know whether he's going to find out whether Barack Obama, I don't know whether he's going to talk about the text messages about Barack Obama. I mean, about them mentioning Barack Obama. I think they should, so that we can find out how deep Barack Obama was involved here. Probably it's going to come out, because President Trump, he had an interview this morning, Fox News, I just watched it an hour ago, and he said it's going to change history, American history. And this is the most corrupt political corruption scandal in America. That's what he said, and I believe every single word of what he said about this whole thing. And the media, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, of trying to cover up this criminality. They have to really wake up and try to tell the American people real news, not some shady cover-up fake news. Okay, let's check out some news headlines and Twitter feeds. Okay, Ronald McDaniel, GOP chairwoman, tweeted this: "Public polls are matching what we've seen in our internals. At real Donald Trump's approval is the highest it's been since this sham began." I just already told you he hit 50%. Opposition to impeachment is growing. Most voters want Biden investigated, including over a third of Dems. This charade is backfiring. And by the way, I know a bunch of Democrats, and I think 8 out of 10 told me they do know that he's not going to get impeached, and this whole thing is a little bit fishy. So that's telling a lot. Let's move on to the next page. Geraldo Rivera tweeted this: "Collusion hoax. It's Donald Trump denying Russia interfered with our 2016 election. It's Democrats and House." So it's not Donald Trump denying Russia interfered with our 2016 election. It's Democrats and the House media relentlessly flogging proven false narrative that Americans conspired with Russia to fix the election. When do they apologize to Trump and the United States of America for wasting our time? I do believe that the mainstream media, they have to collectively gather together and give a huge apology to President Trump and the American people. Let's move on to the next page. Rivera also tweeted this, and so it begins: "If CNN exclusive is confirmed, big trouble at the FBI allegation, according to Evan Perez, their excellent justice reporter, is that agent altered a document to obtain the FISA warrant to begin surveillance of Donald Trump campaign aide, Carter Page." Let's move on. Candace Owens tweeted this. I just added this because it was funny. "Taylor Swift threw a public temper tantrum because a record label wouldn't let her play her own songs. Wait till she finds out the Democrats she supports aren't going to let her spend her own money." Let's move on. Breitbart News tweeted this: "Frankly, I want a trial." This is what Trump said at today's interview with Fox and Friends. He said he wants a Senate impeachment trial, and he's looking forward to it, and he thinks it will expose the Democrats and the deep state. Let's move on to the next page. Okay. Well, that's our show for today. Our show is not about left or right. It's about right or wrong. To stay up to date with our latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.